American corporations across the whole 20th century, but particularly in the second half of the 20th century, were getting really upset by the amount of their surplus they had to give to certain monopolists. It happened in the 19th century too. Capitalists got angry. They said the railroads, they have us over a barrel. If I want to move stuff from Iowa to Philadelphia, I got to use a railroad. There's nothing else that's practical. And the railroads are stealing out there, hitting me with rates. I don't want it. Here's another example. I need electricity, but there's only really one electric utility in my area, and they're charged. I don't, and guess what? Capitalists, furious that a disproportionate amount of their surplus had to go pay for this crap, said, I want the American government to come in and take over this thing. And that's why we have Amtrak. What is Amtrak? And if you follow this, you'll learn something that you'll never again be fooled by the New York Times. Amtrak is a way to allow capitalists in general to save a ton of money on rail freight because the government runs it and runs it cheaper than a private company would, and than the old private company did. That's the point. And let me say this in different words. The point of Amtrak is to run at a loss because it's a subsidy to every other capitalist. Imagine then what a Marxist must do when watching television and listening to a congressman or woman or a senator saying to us, you know that Amtrak, they don't make any money. You see, when the government runs a business, it loses money. You moron! That's the point! Of course they lose money. That's why the government was brought in, to lose money. And you know how a railroad runs when it loses money? It has to dip into the taxpayers' fund to keep going. In other words, corporations got cheap rail rates because the government ran it at a loss, covering the loss with taxpayer money. So the burden of the railroad was pushed onto the taxpayer and off of the corporation. But I won't embarrass anyone in this room by asking how many leftists you know who think that when the government takes over, this is a step in the right direction. Oh no, it isn't. The capitalists have been doing this from day one, if, when, and as they want it. If the left endorses that on the grounds that it's socialism, you're being duped twice. Don't do it. But of course, to understand that, it would help to have a general way of understanding how corporations work. These issues, these distributions of the surplus, shape our society. Whole populations in America and in other capitalist countries become leeches off the surplus. Once they get into their position, they realize this is an endless source of income. Lawyers, we made jokes earlier, lawyers develop an endless array of legalisms in order to suck out of corporations the maximum amount of surplus. They invent new ways of suing you. They invent new language about how you're vulnerable, and therefore why you need a larger lawyer, a legal staff to help protect you. At a certain point, the capitalists who understand this struggle, like Marxists do, our practical needs, you know what the capitalists do? They get together and they say, let's kill these people. I don't know how many of you are aware, but the struggle between the Republican and Democratic Party in the last 25 years has been crucially shaped by a fight over lawyers. And basically, the Trial Lawyers Association in the United States, the people who do the work in the courtroom, have been supporting the Democrats because the Democrats are more favorable to them, and the Republicans are lining up behind the capitalists who want to put a kibosh on the lawyers. If you paid any attention, you may have noticed the new law that was finally passed with Bush. He got it through. Put a $250,000 cap on all suits, liability suits. So if you eat something and it sticks in your throat and your left ear falls off and so forth, you can sue, but you can't get more than $250,000, no matter what the issue is. That's it. You have a cap. Well, who's that for? Is that for you? No, no, no. And all the publicity. We want the lawyers and it's taking, it's not good, we have a litigious society. Stop. Always ask. In a struggle in a capitalist society, if a struggle begins to get going, it's most of the time because some group of capitalists has decided to nail another group. Rarely is it a situation of the mass of people rising. I wish that weren't true, but it is the truth. And it makes no sense for us to hide it.